And here we are for another Tuesday Night Live with Crowcast. Joining me tonight, I have next to me actually, which is an honour that I can't even begin to describe. I have Big Fella. How are you doing, mate?
Good, Phoenix. Yourself?
Not bad for an old fella. Just take your hand off my leg, thank you. And we have the return from the milk carton, Nikki. How are you going, Nikki?
I'm doing all right.
Excellent. We'll discuss fines momentarily. And we have the incomparable stats man, Danos, with us tonight. How you going, mate?
I'm good, thanks, but I think Scorpus is pretty good at that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, well, I'd tell you, if you had a listen to Sunday Night Show, and I'm sure you did, being an avid Crowcast listener, you couldn't have been anything but impressed by the spreadsheet that I had out going through every stat imaginable. None of it made any sense, but it was good to have numbers.
Where someone was keeping you company.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
thanks. Sorry.
So Nikki, what do you think is perhaps an appropriate recompense for your non-show on Sunday night?
To actually turn up and participate in next week's might be a good idea.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I reckon some sort of. We need to have some. We've got a moderator here. We need to have some sort of card system for the Crowcast.
We could give her a 3-point warning for sure.
That would be my first one ever on the board.
I probably still owe you one, Nikki, from when you gave me one.
You deserved it, though.
Apparently, swear filter avoidance. Didn't realise that was the thing at the time.
Yep. Still is.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, in the absence of any major interviews, we have a couple of Port Board members joining us a little bit later on. Chad Wingoat and someone else, I can't remember. They were silly enough to put their hands up, so we thank them for their participation. They'll be on in a little while to talk about the Showdown a little bit. And aside from that, really we'll just have a bit of a rant about what happened last weekend and a bit of news, Nikki, if there's any about. And then if we've got some time, we might actually throw Skype open. And if there's people listening, don't be shy. Get on Skype. The username is BF Crowcast. And give us a buzz and have a chat. The more interactive we can be, the better. And obviously the chat on Spreaker is open as well if you want to get involved there. So, Nikki, what do you got for us? Anything happening in the world of AFL?
I hate Collingwood. They really ruined my tips. Bastards.
I'm always happy to see Collingwood lose, Nikki. I think that's very poor to hate them for losing so poor.
Well, it is actually quite bad with what Dane Swan's done, and apparently he will be out for the season. But they were looking actually quite nice in the NAB Cup, and then we're watching our game, and you just see the little comments, or not the comments, the score in the corner, and I'm going, I'm sorry, but 67-9. What the hell's going on there? So. Yeah, I'm not happy with them.
Just killed my tips.
What do you think of their list? I mean, I tipped them as well, and I went through when I saw the score, and I was like, crap. And I just went through their team and looked at all the names, and I was like, you know what? I don't actually know if they've actually got a decent list.
I think they're not too bad.
And I'm pretty happy with the result.
I that was one of those I was in two minds, because if it was at ANZ Stadium, Collingwood has owned them there. They haven't done well on the SCG, but I just kind of liked what I'd seen from them in the NAB Cup. They seem to be playing quite well, but I think it really was the loss of Swan in that first quarter that just put them back they just didn't recover.
Nah, he wasn't worth as many points as Collingwood lost by.
No, I think that probably dropped him down a bit, and then it just compounded from there.
I think Sydney have got a massive advantage playing all the games at SCG now. Rather than play at ANZ Stadium. If you need to know how to play that ground, and they obviously do, being their home ground, and if you can play it well, you can dominate that ground pretty comfortably, I think.
I was actually a bit surprised at how much they dominated the midfield. I actually thought Collingwood would win, and I actually thought Collingwood would do all right this year, but one game and all that's gone to shit, basically, and having said shit, now I'm going to have to mark this cast as explicit, so that sucks.
Well done. Well done.
So now we may as well say fuck as well.
Got to put my hand back on your leg.
Oh, boys.
As long as it's only the microphone that you guys are sharing.
Yeah, it's correct.
Well, we are sharing a red as well.
That's it.
Oh, we're off to a good start already.
Two boys, one cup.
Yep.
Oh, no.
I may disconnect here.
Nikki, you're telling some news.
Well, in view of this, what did you guys think about Robbo deciding to out a random number that he seemed to pick and decide to hang it all on Collingwood in regarding the illegal drug use?
Just looking for something to take the focus off Essendon, I think.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, somebody actually pointed that out, that every time like Essendon started to get really up and going, the big things, a story has dropped about drug use at Collingwood.
Yeah, and funny how it was just Robbo. No one else wanted to go with that. I'm sure that all the journos had word of that a fair way out. So,
and the fact that he was told initially 23 players, and then they went, oh, no, maybe 6 or 7. Oh, no, maybe 11. No, I think he then got told 13 and he decided to go with 11.
Who's leaking it?
Just make sure. Oh, he's got a source apparently. But he got absolutely hammered by Buckley and Scott. And I think they were quite right in how they had a go at him, was that he missed the big story, which wasn't about the club. It was about the AFL, because it was done as soon as the players have come back from the break. They are not allowed to contact the players. And so it's all on the players in that particular instance, and the AFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard Buckley's little spiel on that, and I thought it was quite well spoken. Unfortunately, he's been quite well spoken for a lot of his coaching career. I'm not sure about his coaching yet, but he has spoke well.
He has spoke well.
He has spoken well. So what exactly happened with Robbo? I only heard the bits where Buckley was saying how the clubs couldn't be involved over the off season, but I didn't really actually catch what Robbo's been caught out doing, or insinuated that he's been caught out doing.
Because he just came out and flat out stated it was Collingwood. And yet it appears that there were, I think, quite a number of clubs and a lot of players that got done for having illegal substances, which really doesn't surprise, I think, us at all. And so why was it just on Collingwood that he focused? And also the time that he leaked it, and where was his respect regarding privacy?
Yeah. Go on.
No, so that stuff was coming out when he first started, when the news first came to light, sort of last week. So I hadn't been following it today. I just caught the Buckley piece, but that's pretty poor effort. You would think you'll have to pay for that, I'd suggest.
But you also remember he's the one who does the poor Essendon players. Oh, here's their names. He was the one to release the names of the players.
Yeah, he's half cut half the time, right, Robbo?
That's on a good day.
Well, and you got to wonder too, and it might be a bit left field, but with all the cuts that are going on at the Age at the moment, and in the print media in general, you just wonder whether there's a bit of pressure on him to actually get a bit more controversial and go the tabloid route a little bit more. Certainly not endearing himself with the footy community, though, I wouldn't have thought.
You give Richie a call.
Well...
Yeah.
Good point.
I think he wants to be like Pally and good mates with them all. And this is really, really, really stuffed it up for him. And I don't think he can see it. He's not intelligent enough. How the hell he's managed to become the chief football writer for the Herald Sun is just an indictment on the quality of journalism that's around, really, that he's got that job.
You get it by default, did he? Who else have they got on their roster?
Oh, I don't read the Herald Sun that often. Oh, yeah, well,
John Ralph. You'd be pretty sad if you woke up and you didn't get the job in front of John Ralph, I reckon.
Oh, I did love the call when he was doing his little speech about, who's going to get done or whatever, and he talks about Matt Crouch as, he'll get rubbed out for 2 and it'll be dropped down to 1. It's like, he didn't hit him in the head, dude. Oh, look. That got completely dropped and, no case to answer. Whoops.
I was bloody furious when that happened, and all they could talk about was how it was going to be cited by the tribunal, and then it was pointed out that it was reported on the spot. And I could see from the vision, from being live, he didn't go anywhere near his head.
No.
Waite took a dive because he knew that he was going to get a bloody free kick.
Yeah. I don't mind the umpire reporting it, though. I mean, it happens pretty quick for the umpire. I don't mind stuff being reported. But he got rightly thrown out by the sounds of it, so it's good.
It just seems that none of these journos actually spend more than about 10 minutes looking at anything before they write something down. There's no depth in the journalism anymore at all. I can't name a journalist that I enjoy reading. Even Caro, who's a little bit more thorough, she still gives me the shits half the time.
Emma Quayle?
Yeah.
Only for draft stuff, though.
I didn't mind some of her Tippett reporting, to be honest, when all that was going down.
I have to say, though, is this the indictment on the journalism, state of journalism, why we're all on a forum and why we rather would listen to opinions from other people like us?
That's why the bloody Crowcast is going so well, Nikki.
Because we're so much better.
We're so much better than 5AA and Stephen Ray.
That's kind of a low bar to set.
I was trying to think really witty, really quickly what Rory would say, and I couldn't do it.
Oh, come on, fellas!
I'm gonna take that as a positive.
Oh God, we're doing well. Hanging in, everybody. So
back to the news then, Nikki.
I'm trying to think what else news there is around today. It was just mostly there's a little bit about the drugs stuff. There's some more Essendon stuff which has come out about what's possible if they had the thymodulin, which is what they said they took. One of the researchers who works in that area has come out with a list of, okay, this is what you need to look out for in terms of health issues. And there's some pretty, some serious stuff on that. And he's going on the thymodulin and not the TB4. And TB4 is even more potent than thymodulin. So I think there's definitely a bit of a court case brewing. Peter Jess is kind of angling for a compensation payout, which is what he does best.
He's been pretty militant, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Because Lovett Murray's nothing to fall back on.
In terms of a career, you mean? I haven't really paid attention. Okay.
Yeah, because he's coached, so he can't coach, and his other job was actually working with Indigenous youth, but it's involving football coaching. He can't do that either.
Oh, wow. Yep.
So, yeah, he's in the pup. So you can understand why.
I heard some guy got 43 possessions and took mark of the day yesterday. Is that news?
Oh, that's a new Victorian recruit. Yeah, but he still can't kick for goal. Oh my God, they were hella hilarious. That was funny.
Yeah.
Well, and it was in his first game of football ever, apparently.
I know, he's so good.
Sounded like it. I actually thought it was funny he couldn't kick for goal. He used to do okay kicking for goal for us. It was the forward line entry that went to the deep right forward pocket.
Yeah,
which was predictable, but never really hit anyone. Sort of hit the grass a lot. But
I had to listen to I was listening to the radio while I was doing some other stuff during the day yesterday, and every time Dangerfield's name came up, probably every second time, they commented on how poor the kick was going into the 50, and I just laughed.
So they were the complete opposite of Channel 7 who would go, it's fabulous. It's like, yeah, but he's just kicked it to space, or he's kicked it over the head of the bloke that's leading, or he's kicked it too short. Oh, look, it's a Dangerfield special. He's great, and he gets the ball.
I was listening to Anthony Hudson on SEN, and he's always been a good commentator.
Yeah. Interestingly, and this is very true, Frank from National Tiles, I can't do it well, the good bloke broke his arm as Hawthorn is limping into the season. Maybe no top 4 this year. I think that might be likely. They looked lost without Roughhead.
Yeah, they certainly struggled up forward, that's for sure. Wayne's World on the boards was telling me today that Gunston plays full forward for the Hawthorn. Well, if that's all they've got, they're in trouble.
What was he doing in the back lines?
I think they miss Hale more than they realise.
Yeah.
With Hale and Roughhead gave them some targets. They've lost both of those for most of this season. Well, Hale's gone, but Roughhead will be back later maybe. But I think they're going to struggle without those guys. I do want to go back to Dangerfield though. Having now seen our first game and seeing Dangerfield's first game, has anyone's opinion of how much we may or may not miss him changed?
No.
What was your previous opinion?
No.
My opinion hasn't changed, and that's that.
I think we will. I think we'll struggle. I think when the going got tough on the weekend, we did miss a bit of grunt at the coalface. I think Brad Crouch had a cobweb blowing out type of game, and hopefully five rounds he'll be better. But it's going to be hard to replace Dangerfield's ability at the contest. Those handballs gets it out and gets us running, or got us running now. He gets Geelong running. We're going to miss that.
I haven't actually read the board either before or after the game. Just haven't had the time to do it. But my feeling is that in that game, I don't know whether he would have made much of a difference to our result. We were running on empty at the end and just couldn't keep up with the Kangaroos, who happened to be 5 years older than us by average, just about.
I'll tell you what, though, Dan, is in the third quarter, one bloke really smashed us in the clearances, and that was Ben Cunnington from the Roos.
Yeah, he did.
And we just didn't seem to have anyone that was able to match him. And I think having Dangerfield there, and I hate talking about what ifs when it comes to him, but having a player of his quality there would have allowed us to have them focused a little bit on what we were doing, whereas what I felt was that they were just doing their own thing. A couple of their setups, Daniel Wells was particularly early in the last, was just running free. They didn't seem to really give a damn about what our midfield was doing. They were totally focused on their own setup, and maybe having Danger there, regardless of his output, would have just forced them to go a little bit more defensive and not be so potent through the middle with Goldstein winning the ruck.
I was actually hoping that Sloane would have stood up in Dangerfield's absence, but I felt that he faded into the pack.
Yeah, I
and
hardly
didn't
noticed
have
him at
any impact on the game at all.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think he's done a bit of a David and Goliath with his hair. I think he's had it cut and he's struggling a bit.
Possibly.
Yeah, he's been poor all season so far this year, which is not acceptable for what we know he can produce. The interesting thing for me was, because I'd been to the SANFL that day and was watching team defence in action there, and as I'm sitting there and I'm watching the replay of live that night, and I'm going, oh, hang on, I've seen them playing that way already today. So it was really nice to see that our AFL game plan is being implemented in the SANFL and was quite effective. And there was that period in the second quarter where basically we kept North in our forward 50 for quite a couple of minutes. They could not get through that defensive press that we had going on. It just fell down and partway through the third quarter and then completely in the fourth.
Yeah. Again, if you'd turned up on Sunday, you would have heard Hank and I discussing a lack of pardon me, a lack of midfield and forward line intensity. Our tackle numbers through the midfield and forward 50 were horrendous. And I think, this whole debate about whether Hartigan should or shouldn't have played is probably fed into a little bit by the fact that up the ground, we just allowed North Melbourne too much uncontested ball from our forward line and transitioning into their forward line.
It's one of the things that the Crouch brothers don't have going for them, and that's their defensive efforts. They can get a tackle if they're right there on the spot, but the pressure is not there.
Matt's gotten better at that. I noticed that in the West Coast NAB game. He's a lot better than what I've seen him doing that previously. So I think that's being implemented slowly. For Brad, it was like he thought he was still playing SANFL at that speed, and the same with Atkins. That's why they got caught.
Brad seems to be a yard off his best pace, and I don't know if that's playing it gentle or if he's lost a yard or he just needs a bit of time. But I think your point there, Nicky, about he felt he was still at SANFL level. His angles when he was chasing the tackle, given how far off the pace he was, he seemed to be running the wrong angles to put defensive pressure on, to me, a couple of times.
And that may just be the pace of the AFL versus the pace of the SANFL.
Because Gov talked about the step up from SANFL to AFL is a huge leap, and it took him a little while to just kind of get a hold of that. I was quite pleased with his game, and by the sounds of it from Brownie's press conference that he had today, where part of it he actually highlighted the defensive pressure up forward of how excellent Gov was. People are saying, "Oh yeah, Gov's going to get dropped." I don't think he will. I think he'll be in the team for a little while.
I thought he played a really good game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never reconciled myself to the fact I think the same as our selection panel, but I would hope that they play both Gov and Millera until they need a rest. They just offer the side something going forward that we just need to get games into them.
How's the contested marking from the pair of them? That one from Millera running back was great. and then he just takes off. So I'm free. I'm going.
He needed, obviously, to get more involved. Sorry, Danos. But what he did was excellent. And same with Mitch. And, the thing I liked about McGovern in the last quarter, even though he missed those shots at goals, he was in the right spot.
Yeah. He knows how to do that.
Another 10, 15 games he slots those without any dramas. And the fact that he's got good instincts and I love his aggression. And I'll tell you what, there's a few up forward, Tex and Jenkins and all that could learn a bit about defensive pressure from the first gamer, which is disappointing, really.
And he didn't lower his head. He didn't stop trying, and he kept getting himself into those good positions.
Now, did anybody see Jeremy McGovern's post that he put up on Instagram congratulating his brother on making...
No.
Oh, my God. He put up a picture of Mitch when he was very young, sitting on the potty, and then the photo also included the after shot of the tiny, tiny, tiny little poo that he did on there. So he said, from your first poo to your first game, I've been here all the way.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Oh, you bastard of a brother.
You wouldn't be real happy with that.
I think there's some very, a lot of ribbing that goes on between the pair of them. Absolutely. So that was quite amusing.
So, Nikki, you said you saw the SANFL game.
Yes.
Who is looking ready to come back in if we were to make changes to the AFL side?
I differ from trying to remember who it was on the board who thought Hardigan had a crap game. I actually thought Hardigan had a really good game, and he was doing something I haven't seen him do very often, which is strategically leave his man to be that secondary or the third man up to come in to punch, spoil. He was anticipating that really well. He was doing his normal little dummy spits when he was giving away a free, which I love. It's very Bassett-like. Night's going to be an interesting one.
I've never seen anyone get close to Bassett. You can't be telling me Hardigan's got Bassett covered.
Actually, Loudon, I reckon, had a really good... He put his foot up directly and whacked the opposition ruckman in the chest with his foot to block him from the ball. And he's like at the umpire, what was that for? Yeah, Luke. That one was definitely a free.
Roundhouse kicks. That's what that was for.
It was kind of funny.
So Greg, Gore and Charlie all had 6 or 7 tackles each. Do you reckon they'd come in handy?
Charlie, no. He did really good pressure acts, but he was just that little bit off. I think he needs at least another 1 or 2 games just to get up to the speed, because we know that he looked at just that little bit off. Nida was off a little bit in the first half. He was still kind of getting the ball, but he wasn't as clean and as sure as we know. But in the second half, he really sort of blew away with that. Greg was a little bit in and out, but it was a normal Greg game.
Going back to Knight, he had 14 marks.
Yeah, he did.
And kicked 1 goal 4.
He kept bloody missing ones he shouldn't have.
And Ricky Henderson had 3 behinds.
Oh, now, Hendo. I was at the footy with some friends, and his first 2 kicks basically had somebody that I go to football with just going, who's this new recruit wearing number 45 that's kicking low and hard and direct into our forward lines?
I don't believe you.
Oh, a completely new player, it looked like.
No.
Oh,
Not
yes.
convinced.
He then went back to a few little dolly kicks in the second half, but the first half was like, holy hell, the boy can actually kick the ball properly.
That's not a surprise, though. Hendo's always been able to kick. It's just been his abilities as a natural footballer to cop the physical stuff that's been in question, surely.
And he was willing to do that. Westies were going after us. I think that was the only way they could really try. Because I think they had 6 players out, Paul Pleasure, and we'd taken their best player as well.
Yeah.
I think the most amusing thing for me was one of the Westies supporters behind me just yelling out, calling the Crows players AFL rejects. It's like, well, they're not rejects. They're actually on the AFL list, and the only AFL reject out there would be the West Adelaide captain and Chris Schmidt, because he's no longer on an AFL list. So, yeah, brain's not their greatest strength when they're trying to insult a team that's absolutely smashing theirs.
Go easy, I'm a Westies supporter.
I'm trying to think. Greenwood was interesting to watch. Little bit off the pace, but instinctively knows where to go. He's got that great anticipation that you can't quite teach. He was kind of getting there, but just that little bit late. But you could see he started to pick it up, the pace through the game. Deer playing good.
How was Cam?
Could use his body a little bit more. Was getting some dodgy handballs from teammates, which didn't help him, unfortunately. But he was probably our main mid, I would say. It's very interesting, the SNFL highlights that they've put up on the website. Gore didn't get any of the highlights, yet you see him in a couple of them that it's his little instinctive, smart football brain that led to us getting goals or getting the ball free. There was a little tap that he did. I don't think it's on the highlights, which was great. But the one I really enjoyed watching was Menzel. That kid's got it. And some of his passing in traffic was, you know how we've talked about a couple of those Miller kicks that we've seen that have been very nice. Menzel's are better.
Frank Walker's asking about Sam Shaw. How did he go?
He went well. Did a nice little bit of physical hip and shoulder on one of the Westies players after I think they'd roughed up Menzel a little bit and he was a bit slow to get up. But, yeah, Shaw took care of one of the Westies players.
How was his kicking, Nikki? I mean, good. I think Sam Shaw's got everything to offer us defensively.
Good.
Play tall,
nice
play
long
small,
kicks.
Fast. You know, when he was playing in the team back in 2012, he led the team 1%ers. But his kicking was the question for me.
I've said after watching him in the SNFL last year, and again here, that huge chunk of bone that we took off of his hamstring has fixed his kicking. It's good.
It's good to hear.
All right, now to round off our little discussion before we get the Port boys on, I just want a show of hands, radio hands. Nathan frickin' Van Berlo, in or out?
Out.
He did that nice pass to Jacobs. Everybody
Nikki,
forgets
come
that.
on.
But
Jesus.
I agree with you.
How many hands can I use, Phoenix?
Excuse me? Can I finish? I agree with you. I think he should be out.
Oh my God, he played badly.
He did one good thing. It
No, he
resulted
didn't.
in a goal.
No, it was a mistake.
Hey, no, that pass was nice.
Yeah, but he didn't mean to kick it there.
Yes, he did.
I'm not convinced.
Sorry, I'm just reading off the live chat now. Out. Out.
Yeah, funny how that's from
Gone.
What about you, Danos?
Yeah, look,
Oh, don't give me stats. Come on, fire up.
I wasn't going to give you any stats.
Give me stats. He's got nothing, surely. The guy had a whole year to come back from his tragic sled accident, and he just, unfortunately, I never thought he had much to offer us after he stopped going where Ainge was feared to tread when he started those back problems. He's not a good enough player to not play all out helter skelter. Had to pull it back, and he's got nothing to offer us, I don't think, anymore. He must be a fucking good leader. That's what I can say.
Oh, look, I don't know.
Hold it back, Scorpus. He was shit, apparently, according to Scorpus.
I can't. I can't even defend him at all. Indefensible. 9 possessions. I don't know. 348 clangers. Minus 17.
I think you made that one up.
It was just shit.
Well, we'll see the integrity of the selection committee when the next team comes out on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think who from the SNFL, though, is pressuring for that spot. And Knight's more
What
forward.
Where was he playing? He wasn't playing halfback, was he?
Halfback midfield.
Who was on Harvey when he kicked his couple of goals in a row there real quick?
Oh, probably Brown, knowing how well he went that game.
It was Brown, yeah.
He had a stinker.
He got ripped apart.
All right, so the consensus is VB out. I'm happy with that.
Who comes in, Nikki? If
Well,
our dreams come true, and they won't, but if they do.
That's the thing, is the person I would probably put up is Knight, which means you jiggle it around a little bit.
I don't think it's that hard to do, to be honest.
No,
Yeah.
if we're talking
McGovern you can put back. Cheney can play his role, as somebody else pointed out.
Surely Henderson comes in for him.
Does Hendo need another game? Don't know.
I reckon Hardigan comes in for VB and we push Lever and or Cheney out.
Cheney out. That's a possibility too.
Yeah. Cheney.
I don't get out of my house. You don't like Cheney?
See you, folks.
You wash your mouth out with soap, big fella.
Anyway. All right, we've pretty much done that to death. We've got a couple of Port boys on the line here, so we'll patch them in and give them some shit for a while. We have Chad Wingoat and what's the other name? Something Medallion. I can't remember. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Oh, that's a bit quiet. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah. Wait, can you hear me?
Yep,
Who's that?
we got you.
This is, my name's actually Awesome Dal 14 because my name's Dallas, but you can call me Medallion or whatever.
And Chad Wingoat is the other one.
I'm calling him God.
Yep, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, got you. How you going?
See the one with the
Good, thank you. How are you?
See the one with Hoff giving a finger avatar there?
Yeah, it's not a very welcoming avatar, really, to come onto the Crowcast with Hoff giving the
when was Hoff tough enough to give someone the finger?
Talking
now,
to me?
I promised these boys that we wouldn't give them shit tonight.
Yes, mate, I was talking to you. That's your avatar, right?
Promised them
Mine's
that we wouldn't give them shit, but
anyway.
I probably lied, so fire away. Guys, first of all, before we get into the showdown, you guys would have been a bit relieved to get over the Saints on the weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game by any stretch, but, just getting the win is good enough, I guess.
We basically played one good quarter of footy and won, so I'm kind of happy, but also disappointed. It's mixed feelings.
I haven't seen your game, but my brother said he saw it, guys. He said it was pretty frenetic, even more frenetic than the Crows game. And I was watching it on the AFL app when I was stuck out in the bush over Easter, and I saw you guys were level pegging early in the fourth and then kicked away. So is your run back? Are you guys back running over topper-sides again?
Yeah, hopefully.
It's kind of hard to judge. I'd like to say yes, but we lost White early on in 5 minutes in the first quarter, which meant our rotations limited. But St Kilda also had a limited pre-season because they had their last NAB challenge game cancelled, so they weren't fully fit heading into the game. So it's kind of hard to judge and gauge based on one game. But I'd like to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd seen Saints... the Saints' last NAB game. Yeah, the Saints' last NAB game wasn't It was the one in between, the second one that was cancelled, and they ran out of legs in that last NAB Cup game. So when I was watching your game, I was thinking, are they going to be able to keep this pace up? And it just, yeah, you're right. They kind of died in that last quarter. They didn't have the run. They're not as fit as other AFL sides who have had the better preparation.
And it's also interesting to note, that the style of game that they played against us in the first three quarters was quite taxing with their counter-attack spring style play on the counter. So it obviously taxed them even more so, which gave us the advantage going into the home stretch.
So how did they go in terms of the rotations? Did they come up against a wall halfway through the last quarter, or...?
I think both teams used up all 90 with about 5 minutes left in the game. So,
yeah, right.
I don't know. They seem quite tired by the end of it. The Saints, that is.
What do you think of Boki's role, guys? I heard a bit on the radio on the way home that he was playing off more of a half forward flank, high half forward role rather than through the midfield.
And has he got a groin?
Well, he should have one. Legs don't get attached otherwise.
He went out and kicked the first goal of the game. Made a good run into the forward 50. Westhoff just picked him off and he slotted it easy for the first goal. So we thought he was going to have a good game, but he kind of just dropped off after that. Didn't really notice him too much. He just seemed to be popping up in little places, but he didn't seem to have a massive impact on the game. So it's pretty hard to judge from my point of view.
I think he had 13 touches in the game, which is pretty poor by his standards. Probably his worst game in portcolours. Most of which were handballs because he couldn't really kick the ball, which you suspect is a groin. He took a mark about 45 metres out in the last quarter, directly in front of goal. And instead of taking the shot, he tried to chip it in 20 metres into the forward 50 and went for a 2-goal turnaround back the other way, which is kind of annoying. So I don't know. He obviously played out forward because he wasn't fully fit, most likely. I don't know how he'll go, if he'll be playing. He most likely will, but, it could be a shock omission last minute if anything is bad. Because we do have a pretty strong tolerance regarding that. We don't like to play players too much through injury.
Well, Polak begs to differ. Because... that wasn't good. He was being played through injury, so not quite right there.
He didn't know about it at the time, but...
Yeah. I was just interested, though, what was the crowd numbers? Because I never actually saw or heard what the crowd was, because it actually looked like a decent crowd.
43,000.
That's pretty good.
Very good for Easter Sunday.
Not bad, decent.
Yeah. I think because it was that later game, which kind of helped.
You could be right there, Nick. How you guys feel about the Showdown this weekend?
Not confident.
That's a shame.
It could go either way, really. I think it's interesting because a lot of the experts in the media, experts in comms, of course, have the Crows their favourites, and the bookies have Port as their favourites. So it's kind of split down the middle, isn't it? I don't know. It could go either way, really.
So is that like a typical Showdown? We've got no idea what's going to happen until both teams turn up?
Yeah,
it's
pretty
too
much.
early in the season to tell what's going to happen and who's where in the pecking order.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I'm actually, unlike some Adelaide supporters on the big footy boards, I'm actually wasn't too upset about our performance on Saturday night against the Roos. I think the Roos were quite a good side. I thought they've got a tall forward line that exposed us a little bit defensively, and we made a lot of errors that, if we can iron them out, we come away with a win. So I was actually not too displeased. I think we're certainly good enough, was what I took away from Saturday night. We just got to iron out a few creases. So I'm going in with a little bit of confidence to the Showdown, to be honest.
I think JJ might have a bit of fun. If you look at, if you'd seen the game, St Kilda were getting over the back a lot of your defence, and I actually think JJ's. Yeah, I think JJ's a bit smarter than some of those St Kilda players, and he does that dropping back quite well, and he's quick. I think he might cause a few nightmares.
Yeah, well, certainly if we don't tidy up defensive structure, players like obviously Josh Jenkins, and I'm more scared about Eddie Betts just getting around out the back and just tearing us up.
Well, how did Impey play? He only had 5 touches, so was he just locking down hard, or was
His
he have a rough
defensive
game?
was good. His tackling and close is pretty solid, I thought. I was actually impressed with it, in all honesty.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty solid without starring.
Offensively, he was average, but defensively, he was good.
Yep.
Yeah, so who was he manned up on the Saints forward line?
Billings?
I think it was. The top 5 draft pick, whoever it was for the Saints.
Oh, Froggy's just been very naughty in the chat.
I like it. Say it, Nicky, say
it. Froggy has suggested that we should just play Menzel just so Port can see the real Wingard. That's naughty.
Yeah, sure, mate.
I'd like to see it.
Nicky, who do you reckon will play on Wingard?
Brown's had him before.
Yeah.
And done quite well, but Brown has to pull his finger out after his performance last week.
I think defensively we were not settled or well organised for about a half of football for me Saturday night. I think Hardigan not being there, we were trying to switch around and get good matchups rather than having easy matchups. And I think ball got over the back a bit easy, a bit like Port with Saints. And I hope we come into that game on the weekend against Port with a much better organised defence from the get-go, rather than trying to feel our way through the game, which I felt we did a bit in the first half against North.
Because the other thing is, Hickey absolutely monstered Lobby. So Sauce kind of got... Goldstein got on top of Sauce towards the end, and often when he has that little bad patch, the next game he just plays an absolute blinder. But Lobby's also quite renowned for getting up for Showdown. So how do you guys think that little encounter's going to go?
I don't think he was that bad against Hickey, especially in comparison to his NAB games where he was just awful to an extent. His games love, but he does get good tackle numbers, and he wins the hard ball a bit. That might give us the edge, especially if Boak ends up going out and with midfield, no Crows. Of course, that might give a bit of an edge, but Pull is really very average.
It's a good match. It could be bad loss, or it could hopefully be great. I don't